Hi, Sue Wilson back again with another episode of Crafting My Style. Today's card is going to show you a bunch of different techniques. We're going to do some embossing, some resist, some inking. We're going to cut the dies apart a little bit and do some coloring. All sorts of fun things to show you today. So the products we'll be using are the Black Eyed Susan stamp set from JustRite Stamps. The dies are from the Frames and Tags collection. I've got the Dainty oval frame and the rectangular frame. And the stamp set is from the Creative Expression set called Gratitudes. It's an A5 stamp set we'll use for our sentiment. So I think what we'll do to start is our background. Now I've already gone ahead and stamped a little bit around the edge. It's white on white, so it's a little difficult to see yet, but we're going to finish that up. I've got the Black Eyed Susan stamp here, and this is the largest one from the set. I think it's important to note that even though it's a big stamp, it doesn't necessarily have to be just a focal image. So I'm going to be using it around the edge, stamped with a clear perfect medium. So I'm going to ink it up. And you always want to take your pad to your stamp and just tap it. Make sure it's nicely coated with the ink. And I've done all the way around here so far, so I'm just going to finish up a little by twisting and turning it. Let's put it about like that. Give it a nice press. Make sure you have even pressure all the way. And we'll do one more here. Get that right in the corner, I think. There we go. Now let's put some white embossing powder. I'm using the Cosmic Shimmer True White embossing powder here. Pour that on. Oh, a little bit more right there. Tap that off. And let me just put this back into the container. There we go. Tidy up as you go. And we'll heat that to melt the powder. And you can just kind of give it a little bit of a move to see if you've hit all the spots and melted all the powder. That looks like it's done well. Now I'm going to add a little bit of ink just to kind of bring that out using the Mustard Seed Distress ink and a piece of cut and dry foam. And I've got a craft mat underneath me. I'm just going to work from the edge here and lightly circle around that, going over the stamped images. Bring a nice, really pretty yellow to our card too. And since we're doing some Black Eyed Susan, it'll match beautifully. That kind of brings it out a little bit more. And then if you want to just wipe over the top, take it off of the embossing. There we go, so you can see. That brings the stamped image up around the edge a little bit more for you. So that's going to create the background to our card. Now, the next thing I've done is I've gone ahead and done a bit of die cutting for us. And let me show you what we've done. I've cut two of this oval Dainty frame, and I've nipped away the edges, just like this, right here. So that will form the left and the right side to my triple frame that we're going to be doing, okay? And then that piece that I nipped away, we're going to use that, take a little bit more off of that piece, and we're going to add that to the top. So don't forget that you can use bits and pieces of your dies to add a little bit more dimension and depth to different things. Before we put all that together, I'm going to show you a little bit of coloring. So I've got some distress markers here. I gather them up. I'm using the forest moss, the mustard seed, tumbled glass, and the crushed olive. And I'm just going to do a little bit of quick coloring here for you. We'll do our flowers in the mustard seed with the brush tip. Just bringing in a little bit of color to that. all the way around the edge of that one. It's very, very quick. And if you want to lighten that up a little bit, you can get a paintbrush, a little bit of water, and then you can just drag the color out. Give some highlights. It's very easy to do. These distress inks are water-based markers, so they'll activate and move around with a bit of water. Really easy. And we'll do a tiny bit of coloring on the leaves with the forest moss. Same sort of thing, just kind of a little bit of ink down. And I think I'll pull it in with some crushed olive to give it a tiny highlight. And if that's too dark, you can always go back in with the paintbrush and some water and lift the color out there too. And then with the tumbled glass, I think it's pretty just to add a little bit of highlights in and about so you can see the background through it. Just brings it to life a tiny bit. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to be doing some assembly. So with my frames here, I've added a little bit of mounting foam. And we're going to go ahead and put these on top of our stamped image, just catching that side of it. Excuse me while I lean in just to make sure I'm straight there. Do this one on this side. And I've just pulled out little sections of those flowers. You don't have to have the whole thing. I think it's kind of pretty just to have a little bit of it framed. Adds a nice color to your card. Okay, so I've got those two. I'm going to use this piece here to attach that to. Get them all together. Put a little bit of glue on there. A little bit of glue on there. Line that up. Let that set up for just a second. Pop this one on there. About like that. And I've actually got a sentiment already stamped. I've cut another frame, and I'm going to go ahead and put this over the top with a little bit of, let's just use some glue around the edge here. We're going to bring that up for dimension. That should be good. Layer that on top, and then we'll add in our other little pieces behind. Straight as I can get that. Okay, so now pop these two down, and I'll put a little glue on that one, a little glue on that one. We're going to just layer these behind so they poke up around the top of that. Just adding a little extra bit of decorative element to it. There. And there. Oops. Those nice and straight. So let's put this onto our card base with a little bit of double-sided tape. And that's our stamped background that we did. You could wrap a ribbon around that if you like for a little bit more of an accent. Pop that into place right about there. Make sure that's on there nice and tight. And I'll tell you what, let's just put a piece of mounting foam on that. Put one across there. So now we've got a really pretty triple frame that we've done. Put that on there straight. And to finish off, I'm just going to use a messy bow I've tied from some white seam binding, and I've put a really pretty little pearl embellishment in the center of that. We'll pop that down on the corner there. There we go. Really, really nice and pretty. Love the way that that just frames a little bit of a stamped image, so you've got some color coming through. I think anybody would enjoy receiving this bright and cheery card.